I'm David Gold. I'm one of the founders and developers of the Total Family System for blending families. And I am following up on the cheat sheet that you requested, the 10 phrases you don't want to hear from your partner when blending a family and how best to respond to them. And that cheat sheet should be in your inbox soon, in the next 5 or 10 minutes if it hasn't hit already. And what this sheet does is it takes 10 common situations, things you might hear from your partner that might be innocuous, they might be, prodding, but whatever they are, they have the tendency to blow up into something much bigger. And I've given some potential responses, some ways of responding that'll just kind of keep things calm and allow you to keep blending your families rather than separate, which separation and blending don't go hand in hand. What we want to do is keep things moving. Now, these 10 phrases are kind of common. They're things that I've heard either in my own life or heard from other people that I work with. And obviously, I can't anticipate every situation you're going to have. There's too many of them. I'll never think of them. I'll never write them down. You'll never read them. So what I've done and what I'm going to do in this short training video we're going to do right now is I am going to outline a very simple process, a step-by-step process that you can apply in just about any situation that has a tendency to blow up into something bigger so that, again, you can keep things integrated, you can keep things moving and not blow up something that, again, could cause days or weeks or who knows what, months of separation between you and your partner and everyone with their children. Now, I know that you have a lot of other things that you could be doing with your time right now. And your time's valuable, my time's valuable. But I can guarantee it, I can promise you that the next 5 or 10 minutes, however long it takes for me to outline this for you, those few minutes are going to save you hours of aggravation. They're going to save you days of otherwise separation. And they could save you countless nights that either you or your partner will be spending on the couch. So it's time well spent. It's time we're going to spend together. And again, these will, in fact, make your life easier, your partner's life easier, your children's life easier. They're easy to follow, and I'm going to put them down in very simple, practical, step-by-step fashion. Now, if you're like me, you have a lot of people who are holding themselves out to be experts, saying, I know more than you do, and I have this in my business, I have this in my personal life. And I am very, very wary of these people. And right now, you're probably asking, who am I to tell you how you should be, blending your families? Well, first of all, if I wanted to plead my case, I could do that because I used to be a lawyer. I used to be a divorce lawyer. I spent quite a few years doing divorce work. And so I had an opportunity to see what people did well and what people did not do well, both in terms of how they ended up divorcing in the first place, or a lot of my clients, when after the divorce, they'd hook up with someone else, and I'd had a chance to kind of work with them professionally and personally and still be involved in their lives. And I saw what they did well and what they didn't do well in terms of blending families or blowing up a family. So that's helpful, but that's not my bona fides. My bona fides is the happy family that I now enjoy, the happy family that I live with. I have a partner who is a better wife, a better mother, a better stepmother than anything I could imagine. I have a teenage stepdaughter, a 17-year-old stepdaughter who I've heard refer to her friends, me as one of her best friends, if not her best friend. I have a stepson who, at the wedding of his mother and I, said totally unexpectedly that I was the perfect man for him. I was the role model that he needed. And I have a happy family to bring my own daughter into. And these are my bona fides. And this is what I want to bring to you. I don't know you, but I know families, I know love, I know connection, and I want this for everyone. And that's why I'm bringing this out to you. Now, I have a great success story, right? I love being at where I am right now in my life with my family. That's not where I started. 5 years ago, I was divorced. I was lonely. I felt inadequate and at least insecure as a father to my own daughter. And then Julie came along, my wife, and my now wife. And when she came, everything changed. And I knew that at 62 years old, I was 62, that I'd found the woman of my dreams. And I thought, holy cow, this is like a movie. You can't make this stuff up. And I just thought, oh my God, now that she's coming, now I'm going to have the family I've always wanted. She's going to have the family she's always wanted because they're so compatible. It was a script of a movie, but unfortunately, our kids weren't reading that script. They had their own script. And that script was, I don't want this other person in my life. And so we found ourselves, we were sure our love would conquer all, and we're smart people, we're loving people, we're sacrificing people, we do whatever it took. And we pushed, and after a while, we started to wonder, really, were we ever going to be together? Is it our destiny to find each other? My wife's considerably younger than I am, but we'll find each other at this stage, mature stage of our lives, find the perfect love, the love of beyond our dreams, and we're not going to be able to do it because of our kids. And fortunately, that did not turn out to be the case. As I said, we continued to blend, we continued to move. And because we continued to blend and because we continued to move, we arrived where we are now. And I made the transition from a happy blender to a teacher, to a mentor, to an assistant, I even met some might even say an expert in family blending. And how I made that transition is when I was going through this movie of, there's a whole kind of like a Hallmark movie of, oh, boy meets girl, boy loves girl, kids don't love man, whatever it was. It wasn't that great a movie, but at the time, but it had a lot of eyeballs. The ratings were really high. The box office receipts. I had a lot of people watching. I'm just an extrovert. I have a lot of people in my life. I had a lot of people rooting for me. And when we turned the corner and we started to bring this family together and have the family we have, we had a lot of people who, were not just happy for us, but they sought out our advice. They want to know, how do we do it? And I started to give, I don't like to trespass in people's lives, but those of you who know me know I'm not shy about if someone asks for my opinion to give it. And I started giving kind of one-off advice. And then as the more advice that I started to give, and I started to realize, my God, there's a pattern here. There's things that I have to bring to the table that I could bring out to other people, not just to people I know, but strangers would still walk up to Julie and I, and occasionally to our family and say, what is it that you guys have? So what I did, once I realized that, I'm actually going to be in the business of helping people blend families. So I did the same thing that I did in businesses, in my law practice, and trying to figure out how I could help other entrepreneurs get to where they were, is I reverse engineered the process. I took it and I said, okay, let's break it apart. How did I get from where I am now to where I was before? And I reverse engineered that process, and I put it into a number of different programs. Some of that is the cheat sheet is a good example of the kind of collateral. And also there's the course that we're going to be talking about later of how to avoid the three biggest mistakes couples make. Because I could see that, wow, I kind of fell into those traps. I see others that fell into their traps. Now I know those traps. Let's reverse engineer not getting into those traps to begin with so you don't do it. But I've also done something here, what I'm going to do with you, what I'm going to share with you today. Because part of that reverse engineering is, wow, what is this? Is there a secret? Really, is there something that I can come, people look in the eye and say, there's a secret. You know what? I can actually tell you how you can blend your families and what the key is for those that do and those that don't have the same success. And I realized there was a key. And that's the key that I'm going to share with you right now. That's what I'm going to share with you in this video. And the key to that success, drum roll please, is, are you ready for this? How did I do it? When I reverse engineered all this and took all my experience as a trial lawyer and a divorce lawyer and mentor and coach and divorcee myself and blender families, what does it all come down to? Here it is. I put my left foot in front of my right foot. I just kept moving and never stopped. Now I know right now you're probably, if you haven't thrown a shoe at the screen, you're probably thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I listening to this guy for? I'm getting a pep talk. Blending families can feel like you're in a battlefield. And now you're in a battlefield, and when you're in a battlefield, you want a foxhole. You don't want a pep talk. But I can tell you, this putting my left foot in front of my right foot, first of all, it just happens to be true. And I'm sorry if it sounds like a motivational speech, but it doesn't make it any less true. But recognizing that you don't need a pep talk, what I've done is I've taken that idea that okay, what you do is you just keep moving. You don't stop. And if you just keep moving, odds are great that you are going to arrive at a successful blending family. I have broken that down into 3 easy to follow steps. This is what I want you to really pay close attention to. 3 steps you can take to just ensure the best possible movement, more movement, faster movement, less delays, less getting stuck, less stickiness. If you follow these 3 steps in your relationship with your partner. And these 3 steps, I apologize to the firefighters, whoever the heck came up with this, are very simple. It's stop, drop, and roll. Stop, drop, and roll. So let's go through these 3 steps and how they're going to keep you from sleeping on the couch or blowing up a situation or just turning a little flare up into a big mess. And we've all done, if you haven't done it, God bless you. You should be up here teaching. I should be listening to you. But how to keep from making a mess and how to keep from getting stuck in situations. So the first step is you stop. And what I mean by stop is you just whatever it is you tell your kids to do when they're about to make a mess or turn a little mess into a bigger mess, you say, son or daughter, dear, take a breath, count to 5, go to your happy, whatever it is, just stop. So let's take one of the examples from the cheat sheet. Your partner says, oh, you know what? My kids are complaining that you're never around. You sit and you hear that. And my first response, your first response, my partner's first response, if I said that to her, or you said that to your partner, him or her, would, might be, what? I gave up my poker night with my buddies so I could be around to go to your daughter's, take your daughter to dance and spend some time in the car. Or, my partner might say, hey, I gave up my girls' nights out so that I could be there we could have a family night out. Or I joined a 24-hour gym so I go work out at, 3 a.m. if I have to. So my exercise doesn't get away in the family. And immediately what you want to do is you want to plead your case, right? You want to do what I did as a lawyer. You want to get up there and say, hey, I'm going to tell you, you think that? I say this. And you're going to talk them into saying that you're right and they're wrong, right? That's the first thing you want to do when someone pushes your buttons. But your buttons have been pushed. And when you go back, all you're doing is pushing his or her buttons. You're pushing your partner's buttons. This isn't a debate. And if you can just stop and not take the bait, or whatever you want to call it, and just say, okay, wait a second. Oh, whoa. I know I want to just say, hey, you're wrong. And here's why you're wrong. Or you're mostly right, but like we say as a lawyer, we used to say, well, I can't say my client's not guilty, but a mitigation of sentence. We don't want you to hang him. Just put him in prison. Let me tell you why you shouldn't be so hard on me. Whatever it is that you do, just leave it. Take a moment. And I know the tendency to think, no, I got the perfect comeback at this perfect moment right now. Hey, it'll wait. This isn't a courtroom where, this is, you're going to have plenty of time. If it turns out that what you were going to say, that you stopped yourself from saying is the right thing to say, I guarantee you are still going to have a chance to come back to it later. So the first step, and I know this isn't easy. I know it's easier for me to say than it maybe is for you to do, because at times I find it hard for me to do. It's just, when you hear the phrase, when you hear your spidey sense goes on, or you get that if you're my age, Danger Will Robinson back from the old Lost in Space days, you hear that, just let it go. Okay, stop. So let's say you're an A+ student and you say, okay, I stop. Now what? Okay, I'm ready to engage again. What do I want to do? And that's where the drop comes in. Because what you want to do is you want to drop the idea that what you're really talking about is whatever the issue seems to be. And that sounds confusing, but in the example of the kids say you're never around. Okay, that's interesting. Now, let's talk about that. Let's talk. Okay, I've collected my stuff. Let's see. Is that really true? That I'm never around? But is that really what we're here to talk? Is that really what my partner wants to hear from me at this moment? What does my partner want? My partner wants to be seen and my partner wants to be heard. It's not so much about whether I'm around or not. And I need to think, what's really at play here? That's what I want you to drop. I want you to drop the idea that you're really talking about what first came up. It doesn't mean you ignore it. It means you recognize, you don't take that bait and you think, what's really at play here? Is it the fact that my partner is, really a single parent? I mean, the other parent's not there. They're divorced, or else you wouldn't be in the picture. And so it could be frustration with a single parent. It could be that they just feel conflicted, that they want to spend time with you and their kids don't. They don't know how to navigate. It may be that there's resentment involved because I get to go home to my house at night after the evening. I have my separate place and she's still with the kids. But whatever it is, just be conscious of it. And even if you don't know what it is, and even if in the moment you don't get the reception that you hope to have by saying, sweetheart, what's going on here? Or is it this? The very action of dropping the bait of thinking it's about the argument or it's about the point for you to win, and just acknowledging that you care enough to find out what's really involved, that is going to save you from getting stuck in these kind of morasses that can just go on for days. Okay, so we're going to stop. We're not going to resist our first impulse to jump in and maybe blow things up. We're going to drop the idea of engaging in an argument, a back and forth that you really probably are not going to win logically. And then you have role. What do I mean by role? Well, you notice that I keep talk about getting stuck. And the overarching thing that I said that I promised I wouldn't make it a motivational speech was, you just got to keep moving. You don't want to get stuck. And what sticks us? What when that kind of situation where the kids say to everyone, what sticks us in that thing? What is it that stops us from just moving past it? And the analogy that I use is the crystallization of honey. I'm a big honey guy. I'm not a sugar guy. I put honey in just about everything I can put honey on. If I could put butter in honey, then that's a home run, but that's a different story. But I notice, that rarely do I get to the bottom of the honey jar that I don't have to microwave it or heat it or throw it away because it's crystallized. What happens? You get that first crystal. And once that first crystal starts, it gets stuck. So how do we, in these situations that you have, if you stopped and you haven't, taken the bait, and if you've dropped the idea to not get an argument, how do you stop that first crystal from forming that sticks you so that you're no longer moving forward? And the answer is you know what sticks us. You know yourself well enough and you know the dynamics well enough. And I would venture to say, and I was a lawyer, I'd say, I would suggest that what gets us stuck is we start to build the story. That's the crystal. We start the story. Story is, oh my God, no matter what I do, she'll never be happy. Or, you know what? I think her kids are just spoiled and they just expect more out of me. Or whatever the story is. Oh, this will never work. There's stories that we just tell each other over and over again, especially when we get frustrated and aggravated and we feel aggrieved and we go into these stories right away. And you want to avoid the story. So for me, the alarm that goes off when I hear the story coming, when I hear, oh yeah, we know how this is going to, whatever it is, then I know that's the first crystal. And if you can, and again, I know this isn't easy. It's not something you're going to do perfectly, but it's something that you can not indulge in, which is creating the whole story. Because once you're in your story, he or she is going to be in his or her story. You're going to have separate stories. You're going to have separation. And if you don't get stuck, you'll just keep moving. And those are the 3 steps: stop, drop, and roll. That'll keep you from getting stuck. So I've done what I promised to do. I've given you I've reverse engineered what I found that kept us moving and still keeps me moving. And it's not like, you get to plant the flag, successful family, and then you get to coast the rest of the time. You can always go deeper, can always be better. And there's always possibilities for more blowups. But I've given you that. And I have a strange compulsion. And I've had this since I don't know when, but I need to feel, I don't know, maybe I'm a Messiah complex. I think I got to when I learn something, I want to bring it out into the world, especially if I paid a price. I was a family caregiver. I helped care for my ex-wife's elderly parents, her mother and father, my ex-mother and father-in-law. And that was such a difficult experience that I started a company to help other caregivers. And I help other entrepreneurs who are socially or spiritually minded, have some higher calling, take my own experience of how to balance integrity and financial success, and I bring that to them. And I'm doing the same thing here. So I want you to end up with a happy, successful family. I do not want you to get stuck. And what I especially don't want you to do is I've reverse engineered this process is I see 3 common mistakes that couples make. I've seen it in my career as an attorney. I've seen it in counseling, coaching, whatever you want to call it. I've seen it in the work I'm doing now. I see it in my own life because I step into those traps myself. And there are 3 most common mistakes that couples make when blending their families. And those are the mistakes I don't want you to make. And I have taken those mistakes and I have put them into the course, and I've called it, cleverly enough, how to avoid the 3 most common mistakes couples make when blending their families. It'll be easy for you to remember now that I've told you. So I've taken those and I put them into a 5-part video series. And it's simple, it's easy to follow, it's very clear. And it talks about the fact that the first mistake is timing, usually going too fast. Another one is how much voice do you give to the children? How do you listen to the children without giving them the keys to the kingdom, without them letting you run your life? And the third is just how to be a real step parent. How not to be just a good time babysitter, but how to be a real parent. These are the 3 big mistakes. And I've taken those mistakes, I put them into a 5-part course. And this 5-part course will take about an hour of your time. And it will save you. It can save you falling. Because like I said, I've stepped into each one of those. Fortunately, I got out of them quickly. Some people aren't so lucky, and I don't want you to be one of the unlucky ones. The course is $97, which is a nice thing. I think, wow, that's about half of what I paid for one counseling session to get myself out of the mistake. If I'd have missed that mistake, I'd have had that money and more. $97. And, because I'm you've watched these things before. I got to create urgency. I got to get you to buy now. And so we have an offer, which is if you buy in the next 60 minutes, it's $47. Okay. $47 will get you the package. And there's a reason that I want to create urgency, besides the fact that it's good sales. And the reason I want to create urgency is because I am 67 years old. And I wish, I'm so grateful for what I have in my blended family. but I so wish I had more, every day is precious. I don't want you to wait till you're 67, or if you are 67, I don't want you to wait till you're 77. I want you to do it now. I don't want you to postpone. It's easy to think you got all the time in the world. And the difference between being in a happy blended family versus the struggles of blending a family are infinite. So I want you to do this now. Again, if you sign up in the next, there's a URL there, whatever, there's a click through there. You sign up, it's $47, as we used to say in business. It's not enough to make me rich and you poor. But you don't know what you don't know. We know that's an old cliche. And if you don't know these traps, you're liable to fall into them. Now you know these traps exist and you know there's a way to avoid them. I want you to take that step. It'll be for the peace of mind of you, the peace of mind for your partner, the peace of mind for your family. And I invite you again into the happy world of happy blended families. Thank you.